This morning's scripture reading will be Genesis 7, 1 through 5. The Lord then said to Noah, "Go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. Take with you 7 of every kind of clean animal, a male and its mate, and 2 of every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate, and also 7 of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep their various kinds alive throughout the earth. 7 days from now I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature I have made." And Noah did all that the Lord commanded him.
Thank you, Phil. There's some papers that'll be handing out that, as Matt said, we're going to not just go over the budget, we're going to look at 2023, a little bit of a review. And if you know me, as we've done this before, we did this last year, it's not just going to be about that. And I would hope that each of you are sitting there going, well, we're talking about review and we're talking about budget. Why in the world would Tom pick the story about Noah to be up there to be the scripture? It's because today I think that as we stand and we look at these things, we look at a review of what we've done, but also as we set and make a path for next year with our budget, it's a matter of being good stewards. And if you look at Noah, I can't think of one person that might have given a bigger job as a steward than Noah, maybe Adam. And I think that stewardship is replete in the gospel, in the Bible, and the fact that in the very beginning, God gave Adam the duty to tend the garden and to name all the animals. He was to be a good steward of those things, and Noah now is given this task to basically be the savior of all living things on the earth, including man. And so as we come together today, it's not just about numbers. It's not just about numbers on a sheet of paper that are dollars, but it's about what we're doing, the tasks that we want to take on, how we're going to get there. And ultimately, we have to do just like Noah. We have to follow God's will, and we have to do it in all accounts. As many of you know, we've had Joshua in the class downstairs. I'm actually teaching that upstairs with the class as well. And if there's one recurring theme in Joshua, it's that God commanded Joshua, Joshua commanded the people, and the people did what Joshua commanded. They did God's will. And so as we look at this morning, we're going to talk about stewardship first. And like I said, I think stewardship is rooted in Scripture, recognizing that we as individuals are not owners of our lives or our things that we have, but they are God's, and that we are managers or stewards of them. Stewardship is recognizing that everything we have belongs to God, and that we have to answer His call, that we have to do what He would have us to do. What we have are a gift from God, and we have to be grateful for that generous gift as our Christian life lives on. In this congregation, our gifts are many, and that's a wonderful blessing for a church, for a congregation, because we all have our part that we can do. We can take on different tasks and do different things, and a lot of things we're going to talk about today are physical, but a lot of things are spiritual as well. The Bible is filled with passages. I've got some of them up here on the screen regarding stewardship, caring for God's creation. That's what we're here to do. It's also specific in what God wants from us in the ways of stewardship. And I think these kind of lay a path. If you look at Psalm chapter 24, verse 1, it says, "The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world, and they that dwell therein." That doesn't leave anything out. Everything that's here is His. Look at the next one, James chapter 1, verse 17. "Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning." Proverbs chapter 3, verse 9, "Honor the Lord with thy substance." That's the things that we have, that we consider ours, but they aren't. "And with the first fruits of all your increase." 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 10, "As every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards the manifold grace of God." So the gifts that God gives, we're supposed to share those with others. We're supposed to help others. That's what our job is. And the best way we can help is by spreading the gospel, right? And in Matthew chapter 25, verse 21, you've read this passage a number of times, right? It's from the one of the parables. It says, "His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord." That's the promise that we're given. But he's given us work to do, and we have to work. Don't do like the one-talent man, right? Go bury it in the ground. We're supposed to do something with it. And then lastly, and I think this one is very pertinent to today, Luke chapter 16, verse 11. "If therefore ye have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon," in other words, those things of the earth, if you've not done those things faithfully, who will commit to your trust the true riches? What are the true riches? The spiritual blessings of God. "Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Enter into the kingdom of the Lord." That's the spiritual blessings. That's the things that we're working towards every day. When I stood up here on the second Sunday last year of January 2023, I asked a question. Are you doing all that you can? Each of us have answered that bell in some way, shape, or form this year. And we're going to talk about that because, we had a men's business meeting back, I think it was October. If not, it was November, but I think it was October. And there was a couple things that the men were very adamant about that maybe we as the elders maybe hadn't been doing well, or we could do better. Maybe I'll take it as a positive, that we could do better. And that one of those was sharing with the congregation what's going on, what we've done, what we've accomplished. And so we're going to do a little bit of that this morning. In fact, about halfway through, we'll finally get to the budget things, right? And I think this congregation has answered that bell. Now, I personally believe, this is me, Tom Bright, I personally believe that I can always do more. That's just my makeup. That's the way I think. I hope that each one of you do the same thing. It's like, what else can I do? What other steps can I take? What other tasks can I do without driving my wife completely crazy, right? We comment about days like today where I've got this, we've got the Sunday fun day, I've got an elders meeting, I've got Bible class. It's a busy day. I need to go to work to take a rest. But I want to do more. And each one of us, I hope, is doing the same thing. So we're going to look at some of that. The first one I'm going to bring up is Heart and Hands. This is a group that started last year, during 2023. Not even, I don't think even in January, except that if you look at the tasks that are up there, one of those has already started again, and that's the basket for Carpenter Place, right? We're already starting that again. So we've kind of come full circle. But look at all the things that Heart and Hands has done. And this is a group that doesn't leave anybody out. Everybody in this congregation is welcome to join and help and lend your talents. They've taken on a lot of tasks that some people might go, well, those are ladies' tasks. Well, no, this is not ladies' tasks. This is the work of the congregation. If you want to talk about benevolence, starts here, okay? So you look at all the things that they've done. And I'm a page behind myself. At least I've got you on the right slide. They've done the basket for Carpenter Place. If you remember the corn heating bags, that seemed like a little different, but I think some people are enjoying those today. For the Ladies' Day, they made the prayer pockets, the placemats, and the table runners for Ladies' Day. And now they've taken those, most of those, except the prayer pockets, and now they've made lap quilts, or they're making. Matter of fact, that's an ongoing project. I saw some of them getting worked on yesterday right here in the building. They prepared meals and frozen them, and we have a freezer where if somebody needs a quick meal, we've got that ready to go. That's the Heart and Hands group. They have basically managed, if you will, the donations for the Child Advocacy Center across the street. If you remember the big pile of stuff out in the foyer last month, that was that work. Today, we've got another one where I said we're doing the basket. We also did the donation for Carpenter Place before. So they're working all of those things. It's something you can get involved in. If you're looking for something to do, just ask one of them. There's plenty of things to do. How about our ladies group? They don't do anything. I beg to differ. I see a lot of it at my house. Our ladies group does, I believe, a wonderful job supporting all the work of this congregation, but also some of the works that they would consider quote-unquote ladies' works. And I'm only going to mention some of them here. I'm not going to mention them all. Probably wouldn't have a way to get them all up there, and I would forget something. So I'm going to tell you automatically. If you're not up here, it's not I'm trying to slight anybody. The first one that's on there allows us to do a lot of things within the budget and for the teen group. And the ladies put that on, Bubba's Tea Room. How about the Ladies' Day? This year they had over 120 ladies in attendance. I think that's a great thing, great work that was done. And I heard a ton of positive comments about that day. They have the girls' LTC luncheon. I love that program because it not only supports our youth, but it supports our young ladies, the ladies who ultimately will be taking those roles later. They'll be the leaders of the church, right, in the ladies' role later. And it honors them in the fact that they've spent a lot of time. And if you want to look at the list last year of who did what at LTC, there were 2 ladies at the top of that. Their list was about 42 pages long, okay? 42 is my favorite over-the-top number, by the way. But we honor them, and I love that the ladies do that, give them that platform to share with the ladies what they do. And we have the young men come and have a worship service with all the things that they did. We do that for a reason, because we understand the importance of them learning and understanding what it is to not only be in Christ, but also to learn what it is to be a leader. They maintain the clothes room upstairs. I missed the ladies' Thanksgiving. They maintain the teacher's room and the church library, maintaining and updating that. A lot of work that's being done there. Again, look at that list. You can help. There's things that can be done by every one of us. That leads us to this group. And that list is longer than the previous one. I don't think I could be prouder of a youth group than the one we have here. And I've been in a few myself. I've actually been able, Brett has allowed me to tag along at a few of them as well. And I've been excited about doing that. I go to LTC with them and see all the work that gets done. I went to the holiday party. I was a quasi-participant. We're just going to leave it at that, right, Vonda? We're just going to leave it there. I was a quasi-participant, got called out by maybe one of the older young men, so we'll just leave it there. But they do a ton of work. We're talking about Sunday Fun Day today, Midwest Youth, those things that are regularly scheduled every month. Numerous service projects that they do during Sunday Fun Day. As I mentioned, LTC. Participating in Vacation Bible School, because they're actually helping put that on, not sitting back being partakers, but being people that are being part of it. Flint Hill Summer Camp, the Sunday service at Andover this year, where the young men went over and put that service on for them as a group. They did that by themselves. As I mentioned, girls LTC, the boys worship, carnival night where they help, the fall night at the Tag Toes, that was a fun time. A lot of us got to be able to do that. And then the New Year's Eve celebration at Flint Hills. All of those things. And that's not all, is it, Brett? I'm just kind of hitting the high points, right? Just kind of hitting the high points. And I believe it's a testament for us to understand not only what those young people do, but the participation. Because our youth group, I've mentioned Brett a couple of times, our youth group starts with our parents. It's our responsibility as parents to do those things. And they've done them well, because there are a lot of those kids that their parents are making sure they're there. That's the first and foremost one. They're also teaching them at home. And then we do get Brett involved, because Brett's working with the youth, but it starts there. And then what do? And I think even a bigger testament is the fact that as our teens graduate and are no longer part of like LTC or something like that, they come back and help, whether it's helping the others learn or whether it's actually going to LTC and being a judge. They've done that as well. So I'm very impressed that they don't look at it as a task of, I graduated, I don't have to do that anymore. It's, what else can I do to help? And so I love that out of our youth group. And so, something on there you can help out with? I think there is. How about the next one? The building upgrades that we've done this year. A lot of things that we've done have been done by the hands that are sitting in this auditorium. You know, we replaced on the first floor, almost all of them. We don't have them all quite done. All the ceiling tiles and all the lighting. If you've noticed that over the past year, a great, great thing. It looks wonderful, right? That's step one. That's step one. We're going to get into step two this year. We planned last year in the budget to start replacing heating and air conditioning before it told us it needed to be replaced, because we know that we have some age. We got 2 of those done this year. And we did them very inexpensively, I might add, thanks to Roger Rankin and also to Phil Kissinger, in the fact that Roger was able to work some pretty advantageous pricing on some units, which kept our costs down, and then Phil helped with a ton of the sheet metal work that needed to be done to get all of the intakes and the outputs from those. And I'm sure I'm using terms that he's over there laughing at me right now, but I couldn't think of all of them when I was writing the notes down. So if you want to ask him what he did, just ask him, because he did in a very important part. But doing things like that, adding our skills to what's going on here, help us make this budget more attainable, but also then helps us to reach and do other things as well. The fellowship room and both upstairs and downstairs hallways were repainted, thanks to the work from several men from the release program around here that we've been working with, thanks to Brandon and what he's been doing working with them and bringing those gentlemen in. They donated a lot of hours to paint those areas. And then if Roger was here, he'd be standing up and down and shouting. We cleaned out a lot of storage areas. We found stuff like from the 50s that needed to be cleaned out of here, okay? We did that this year. Here again, work that everybody's doing. Is there something in there you can do? I'll guarantee you there is, because anybody can go clean out storage area, right? You just get dirty. That's what happens. And this next one, I really like this next one, our mission work. You know, we started with a very aggressive program last year on mission work. We said that we wanted to start doing it, and we put I think to some people, maybe a pretty big number on that line item, right? $30,000. That's a pretty big deal for us, given where we had been. We set out to find work, both local and abroad, to support in expanding the borders of the kingdom. And I believe that we were successful. Did we spend all the money? No, but there's a reason for that. We spent a fair amount of time searching for local Kansas congregations that we could work with and help out. I remember it was 3 or 4, Leroy, that we talked with and worked with, and yet we just haven't found that right one, because not only do we need to find somebody in need, but we want to find somebody who has the same heart that we do of what can we do to build up, not just to maintain, but to build up and to help them get back to a place where they are viable on their own and be able to go out and do work on their own as well as with us. We're still looking. We're going to find that. We want to be able to help them both financially and physically. And if it's only physically, we'll do that as well. We're happy to do that. We have a lot of people willing to work. I know at one meeting we were sitting in, and I texted Brett and said, hey, could we do this? I mean, like 2 minutes later, Brett, like, that's a great idea. Let me know. We couldn't get it done, but that was how quick the response was. We reviewed several opportunities abroad. I think there were 3 different ones, if I remember right. And we found one that we're very excited about to promote and to make part of the work here, we believe, for quite some time. If you remember back in July, we had Brother June Fuentes from the Heritage Bible College to speak with us regarding the work in the Philippines. And we decided to work with that. They had a building budget of about $45,000, and at the time, I think they had about 10 of it already. And we were able to put $15,000 of our money towards that. And we're going to start seeing some pictures of what all we did there. We also agreed to join them on a monthly basis of doing $1,000 a month towards the general work that's going on there. And believe me, they're doing that very efficiently. I think they had 60 students that they really didn't even have room for when they started the year. But yet it takes them their budget is about $60,000 a year. $1,000 a student for the year. And they house them, they feed them, everything right there on site. They teach them. June and his wife are retired military, and they are spending their time. Matter of fact, before we got in, all of their downfall, all their shorting in their money, they were paying out of their own pocket, out of their own retirement. So we were able to cover that shortfall, and we actually think that there are some other things that we're going to be able to do going forward. We're continuing to work with Felix in Nigeria to some degree. And then, like I said, we're still searching for opportunities. We're not done there. I think we spent a little less than 20,000, or a little over 20,000 of the money. Let's look at a few pictures from over there. This is a picture from August 29th. We sent them a check in the first week of August, and on August 29th, they had this done. 3 weeks later, the men's dorms were done. They thought the men were going to have to be housed literally in one of the main halls to start the school year because it wasn't done, but they got it done before the school year started. They put that money to use immediately, got these done. If you remember, you saw these pictures. This was August 29th. I'm going to go through these fairly quickly. If you would like to see any of them later, let me know, because I've got a file of all kinds of pictures they continue to send me. This next one, the top 2 pictures are the beginning stages of that next level up, where they're building a great hall, if you will, that they can house more in there as far as gatherings of people. And if you see that green tile roof on the left, that top left picture, that will actually be gone when this is done. Matter of fact, it's gone now. But that area is being replaced, and this hall will reach back into that and make one big, huge, great room. You see that the second slide on the top, the second picture, that's that next floor being built. And then as you see the roof going on in the next 2 pictures, that all happened between September 28th and October 4th. Here's some more from October 4th as they get the roof completely on. And so they have it covered, and I love the fact that right after they get it covered in that bottom right picture, you'll notice that there's some young ladies already taking advantage of the roof. They're out there studying. I just love that picture. because, yeah, it's not finished, and yeah, it's dusty. If you've been at a construction site, it's dusty and it's dirty, but they're in there studying, and they're over there working. And those pictures, like I say, are somewhere between October 4th and October 28th. The outside walls indoor, if we look at this next one, are starting to get removed. That partition, if you will, so they can put it all together. In this next one right here. So as you're looking at where these young men are standing, that is actually looking out. This is a night picture. It's looking out into where the new area is. And then if you look at the bottom left picture, that's looking from the new area back into the old area. Okay, have I confused everybody? But they're looking back in, and they're going to make that one big room with some dividers that they can have classes, or they can open it up and have one big meeting room. And then that bottom right one is a picture with the light, with the sun shining outside. They've actually got some windows in, but still just a concrete floor. You can actually see in the bottom right corner of that picture where the old wall, outside wall used to be. That is now gone. They tore it out. Literally, I've got pictures. I probably should have put one of those in there, them with sledgehammers busting it up themselves, right? Helping out as much as they can. Here's some more from the inside as they start to do some of the finishing work. You can see in the top left where they're starting to put some ceiling tiles in. The next one over, you can see a young man is finishing one of the pillars. And he's got a red shirt on, I think it is. And then the bottom left, a young man in a yellow shirt. And then look at the bottom right picture. They're holding a class in the old area. And if you look really back in the back part of that picture, the guy in the yellow shirt and the guy in the red shirt are there working. They're literally there having a class while those guys are in there finishing the work in the building. I mean, they're working on it and using it all at the same time. Not for a lack of trying on their part. They are doing everything they can with what they've got. And then here, nearing completion. I mean, this is all, and those pictures, the other ones were December 11th. This is December 19th. So in 8 days, this is the difference between those two pictures. They've now got some glass partitions that you can see that they can open them up, sliding doors, and allow the whole area to be used. You can see the good flooring that's put in on the tile on the bottom left one. And then ultimately, the top right, or the bottom right one, is pretty much finished, right? At least visually. They've got curtains up, they've got a ceiling in. A lot of the ceiling, he told me, is not so much that they really need it for visual effect, it's to help deaden the sound a little bit, because it's such a big area, right? So I love that. And that was November 26th. No, excuse me, December the 11th is when those were happening. December 19th, one slide less. The reason I say that is because I want you to look at this one. This next picture is November 26th, so it goes back. Realize that. What are they doing? They're using that whole area to have a ladies' day. You can see the ceiling's not finished. They don't care. Walls, not finished. They don't care. Every one of those pictures shows you at least some part of that that's still being used, even though it's not finished. And then I like this one. Over 200 ladies attended that Ladies' Day. November 26th, basically Thanksgiving for us. They had a Ladies' Day in that area. Okay? And then, even more impressive for me, is January 2nd. In that very area, they set up a temporary baptism and they baptized 2 young converts. That's what this is all about. Yes, we love being able to help teach and have that school there and teach the Bible to young Philippine individuals. And a lot of them, from what I understand from June, are preacher's kids that are going to carry on the role, but not all of them. Obviously, 2 converts here, a young lady and a young man being baptized. We're helping make that possible. You're helping make that possible. I want that to sink in. That's the success. That's us standing here a year ago saying, this is our vision, this is where we want to go. This is our vision being carried out. From a concrete pillar that's barely built all the way back 7 slides ago to them baptizing young individuals January 2nd there, which was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago today. Or close. I want that to sink in. I want you to think about that, the effect that we're able to have. Why we as elders are so excited about the work over there. how far your dollar can go and what you can see and what we can do. We've got plans for that. We've got more plans for that. Probably spent too much time on that, but I thought that there were things that we really needed to think, because the men did say, make sure you're telling us where we're succeeding. This is it. So as we look at that, how did we do on the budget? Because that's what we're going to talk about. You've just handed a sheet. On the back side of that where there's colors, that's the budget that we set last year and the expenses that we did. If there is a number in red, it means we overspent on that category. Not many red ones on there, a lot of green ones. It means that we didn't overspend hardly anywhere. Matter of fact, quite a few of our areas we underspent. We were under budget here again, building and grounds. All of the work that was being done, 2 AC units, heating, air conditioning, the lights, the ceiling tiles, all of that was done, and we still underspent by $5,500. Now, some of that's because individuals donated some material for that. I'm guessing that would have been a whole lot closer to spending every penny if there hadn't been things donated. And I've never been told those numbers, but I know that happened. But you've seen the work. You can walk out in the foyer, you can see the lighting that's already been done, all the switches that have been changed. We were slightly under budget on our contribution, about $70 a week, and a lot of that happened in the last few months of the year. And if you think about that, we lost some key individuals in this congregation, right? And we need to think about how that's going to affect us in 2024, where we're going to be. Because I hate to tell you this, but as the elders, we're not backing off. Okay? We want to set a goal. We want something that's attainable, but we're not backing off. And if anybody walks out of here and says, man, they backed off on this, you need to come talk to me because you missed the message. We just saw all the things that this congregation has done and is capable of doing, and we think we're capable of doing more. And we appreciate everything that everybody does. We want you to understand that that's the accomplishments that we're looking at. All of those upgrades are done. We had expanded our budget on the utilities, and we were good on that, only $1,000 under. So we were happy about that in one way, but sad the fact that it was a $22,000 budget. If I remember last year, it was 9% of our annual budget was just utilities. We at least got under that. Youth. I talked about that a minute ago, about how Bubba's kind of kicks in some extra money. We still have budgeted every year what we think the total cost is going to be, and then Bubba offsets almost a little over a third of that. And so, yes, we're going to change a little bit there, but we are not cutting back on youth. Here again, if you come away with that, come talk to me because you missed something. Also, our Blanche Phillips funds, all of the proceeds for that are being fully utilized. I think last year I messed this slide up and you didn't see it. We've got Josh Snyder at Heritage, and we've got Jared Allison at Freed Hardeman. Those are fully being utilized. Those funds are, and the how do I say this? The base amount of funds in Blanche Phillips is still there. All we're doing is using the proceeds from that, so we can continue to do that and make that long term. So if you look at that, you say, I believe, personally, a very successful year. I think we set a lot of lofty goals, and I think we met every one of them. You know, my first blush thought was, if I walk in here in January of 2024 and I tell them we didn't spend all the missionary money or the mission money, that it's going to be seen as, well, we didn't do it. But we wanted to make sure that it was stuff that matched where we wanted to go and what we wanted to do. And so we took our time in making sure that we're not done. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to fund it the same way this year, so we're going to talk about that in a second. So that brings us to the budget of 2024. We want to make sure you understand a couple of things. I'm giving you a sheet of paper that has, basically, it's a composite of all the numbers, right? If there is anybody that wants to see the full measure, you want the full report, just ask. We'll print one off for you. There's nothing being hidden, nothing under the table. Everything is above board. Matter of fact, I'll have to explain a couple of things to you because they still confuse me once in a while, the way some funds kind of flow in and flow out. But we want to make sure that you understand that. If you have questions, make sure that you ask one of us. If you ask Alan and Leroy, they may tell you to come see me. So, but seriously, we want you to understand that we are an open book when it comes to that. So our 2024 budget, not a lot of changes across the whole budget, okay? We felt like it was a good year. We know there's going to be challenges just because of what I mentioned a minute ago, and we also know that we want to make sure and continue to challenge what we're doing. The smallest changes, there's a couple of reductions. One of them I'm happy about. With the miscellaneous number, we're actually backing that one off a little bit this year because I think we're doing better at our budgeting and understanding what goes where. And so we budgeted the last couple of years like $3,000 for that category. And we're going to cut that in half because that was all we had this year, was about $1,500. And we can now reallocate those dollars elsewhere in the budget to make sure that we're covering all the things that we need to cover. Youth, yes, there's a reduction for $500. That's just because of all the excess dollars that are in there. We are going to maintain the same level of activity for the youth group. And if Brett comes to us and says, we want to do something else, he's going to get a thumbs up. And he understands that. We've had that conversation. So please don't walk out of here thinking that we're cutting the youth budget. We're not. It's been over budgeted for a little while, and we're just taking a few dollars and putting them elsewhere so we don't have to change the overall budget, okay? We're increasing insurance because guess what? Insurance went up. We budgeted 16, it was a little over 17 last year, so we're making sure that we're covering that. We'd be kind of foolhardy to budget less dollars again this year and then still overspend. Same thing for the office. If you remember last year we bought the printers, we've had big savings off of that. We were almost right on it was $8,100 against an $8,000 budget, but we're allowing for a little bit of additional expense. Education, that's basically all of our materials, VBS, all the class materials that go in, ladies class has materials, all of those are included in that. We budgeted like $4,000, we were a tad over that. We're making sure that we're budgeting plenty in that. And if somebody comes to us and says, hey, it's going to take us over budget, education is an area we're not afraid to overspend, okay? Please understand that. And then staff. This was one that when we met with the men, that was probably one of the first questions, is as you're looking at the budget, make sure you're taking care of staff. We had already told them, we've already got that in our plans, but it was made clear by the men of the congregation they wanted to do that. And basically it was a 3% adjustment this year. Is it everything we'd love to do? No, because we are very happy, very proud of the staff that we have and the work that they do. To say that we're excited would probably be an understatement with the things that Brother Jed has done, what Brett has done, Tanya stepping in her first year, what Jana does. We are very excited about that, always willing to help. There's not a one of those that I don't text sometimes at odd hours, and I'm sure they're going, oh, here's Tom again. But I get an answer back, and there's always a positive answer. Like I said, ask them about something, hey, can we do this? Yes, let's do that. So we're very happy with staff, and that's why we made that change. Real quickly, if we look at physical properties, no changes, but you'll notice we're still staying very aggressive in building upgrades. We have, here again, being stewards of the building that we have, we want to make sure that we keep it in good repair, make sure that we're not getting caught off guard. We're planning to replace some more AC units this year, and we did fund that $5,000 set aside for ACs last year. We're going to do it again this year. So really, 2 more years down the line, we might not need a budget that year because we'll have set aside. So the checking account is continuing to grow as we put that $5,000 aside, ready if we've replaced one over here and one over here goes out, we've got a nest egg to help us out. We're not getting caught off guard. One change that we made kind of last minute is we're gonna, all the classrooms and all the stuff that we've done downstairs where we've changed all the lighting in the ceiling, we're gonna finish that project a little bit quicker than we thought because we were afforded a great opportunity by Kathy Williams on some carpet and some very good commercial grade carpet that we're going to basically, all of the upstairs classrooms and hallways are going to get carpet replaced in there and all of the classroom downstairs, and I believe we're even going to have enough to get the offices and the deacon's office. So anything from that wall over to the fellowship hall, we're planning hopefully to replace carpet. We're even looking at maybe some in here, and it was literally, I'm not kidding you, pennies on the dollar. And it's a very good commercial grade carpet that'll last us a long time. It won't be something that I'll ever have to worry about again, and most of you probably won't have to worry about again, okay? We're gonna do that. So we're trying to get the classrooms painted before we put the carpet in so we don't make a mess on the new carpet. So you've already seen that. If you've been in the fellowship hall, there's a roll of carpet over there. If you've been in classrooms, one of the classrooms has already been repainted. Stephen was up here doing that, him and Timothy, and I think, who else was here? I've seen 3 or 4. I'm going to miss somebody. So Kenton was here. Shane was here too, right? Who else was here? Somebody else was here. Anyway, that's already been painted. Now we're going to finish that project here and get those things done. Property tax, technology, transportation, all unchanged. Transportation, we actually didn't spend the whole budget last year, but we had to spend some dollars on the older van. We had to put new tires on it. They were in very big need. We also put brakes on it, needed that. In a discussion again with the men and the deacons that used that, we kind of decided that it probably had more value to us than it really had. And so it was better to keep it running and keep it available as a backup when we needed it, and maybe a secondary one. So we're going to continue that. We already know that there's going to be some, it's an older van. It's going to need things to be upkept every year. We're already aware of maybe a few things for this next coming year, so we're going to keep that budget. And as I said, utilities, very positive, very positive. Evangelism. We'd be foolhardy if we didn't talk about evangelism, because that's what we're here for. We've discussed most of the items on here, education being a change. We're no changes to advertising, fellowship, guest speaker, a small change to education, 500. Evangelism, we're leaving that in there. We want that. We want to be able to to allow the congregation for anything we need to do of a more congregation-based work. Those funds are there. We didn't utilize them all this past year. And so we encourage you, if you see something that needs, let us know. We're willing to do that. If somebody is having Bible studies and need material, we want to do that as well. And then missions. And this is the one where we're probably going to look back at the dollars that we didn't spend last year, and we're probably going to end up spending on them. I've mentioned a couple of times that we're looking hard at what's going on in the Philippines. We're looking hard enough at it that we feel like that it's best that we get somebody over there to actually see everything that's going on firsthand. And so the other elders have asked me if Cindy and I would be willing to go over there, and we're in the process of getting that set up. There are a few things that we're trying to hammer out and understand and know, but expect to hear something about that in the very quick future, that we're going to do that and actually go over there and see firsthand what's going on, understand how they work and what's going on, because we truly believe this is a work that we can be a part of for a long time, that we can expand on what we're doing, potentially to the point of being a supporter enough to be kind of their supporting congregation. We think that's ultimately for us as elders, that's a goal that we kind of have in the back of our head. But we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. Matter of fact, when we brought this up with Brother June, I don't know, when was it, maybe in September, the first thing he told us, he said, if that's what you want to do, he said, you need to come over here first. I like that mentality. I like the fact that he says, if you're going to do that, I want you to understand what you're getting into too. And that's where we are. So that is on our docket. We hope that we can get that done fairly quickly, because he told me the best time to come is like late January or February. And I should have been gone this week because it's warmer over there. Should have been gone this week. But a lot of things going on there. We are still looking for possibilities. As I said, we've got about $12,000 already earmarked of that $30,000, so we still have plenty of dry powder to go at other opportunities or more with Heritage Bible College. And then local, we're still going to look local. That's been one of our focuses as we look at this, is how do we do things to help other congregations in our area. You know, Blanche Phillips kind of gives us, right, that pathway, if you will, because that's what Blanche Phillips Fund is all about, is training and educating preachers to come back to Kansas. That's specifically stated, right? And we're all in on that, and so we're doing that. And in that mindset, we're going to take an extra step this year. We're not using any extra Blanche Phillips funds, but we're going to have a summer intern. And that summer intern is going to be somebody you might know called Josh Schneider. As you know, he is a recipient of those funds now, and we're like, what better way to kind of get extra value of the funds that we're doing by having him here working with the congregation, working with Brother Jed, working with Brother Brett, of what it truly takes from Jed's perspective of being an evangelist. Jed's already said, I think I'm going to take him, we're going to knock some doors, right? Need to get that going, need to get those things going. But we've already given him a sheet of these are the things we're going to expect to happen this coming year. And we're not done with that sheet because we still haven't really sat down with Brett and Jed and finalized that sheet. But we've got goals, things that we want to accomplish. We want him to work with the youth group. We want him to understand what it takes to work with the youth and the things that they do. I'm guessing that Brett's already thinking he's going to do a lot of stuff in VBS for me. If he's not, he should be, right? But we want him to understand, and we think it's a wonderful way for us to not help Josh, but Josh to help us, and for him to take another step. You know, last year when he came back and went to Anthony, that's one way, but there wasn't a lot of guidance. Here he's going to get a ton of guidance from two wonderful individuals, and the elders as well. We're going to expect like monthly reports and things from him as well along those lines. So we're very excited about this. Here again, another step in what we're doing evangelistically. And then benevolence is always a hard one for me. I'm never certain how to attack that one because we put a number on it, but that number is meaningless. I hate to say it that way because I'm a budget guy. But if that budget needs to be double that, we'll find a way to do it. But there's a whole lot more to benevolence than just money. It's in so many different areas that we already work in. I've mentioned Heart and Hands, the Clothes Closet, the Youth Group Service Project. All of those things involve benevolence in some way, shape, or form. And guess what? There are a lot of individuals that are sitting right here in this congregation that are doing their own part in benevolence that you never see. And I mean you never see. And so I want us to continue to think of that, to have that. We talked about last year, are you having the disposition to do good? Because that's what benevolence is. And like I said, it doesn't have to be money. It could be the food that we're doing with Heart and Hands. It could be the lap quilts. Every one of those things have benevolence written all over them. And we have to constantly analyze. That's the hardest thing for us, and I know Roger does a wonderful job doing that, of looking at opportunities that are set before us, and he can ferret those things out and understand what needs to be done on such a wonderful scale. We count on him a great deal, and we appreciate all that he does. So I pray that we all understand that this budget is meant to be a challenge to the congregation, a challenge to each of us individually. Our budget this year, weekly, is going to be $48.85. Last year, it was $48.08. That's a 1.6% increase. As I said, we were moving dollars around trying to make sure that we didn't do too much, but we want you to be involved. We want you to have skin in the game. We want you to say, I like what we're doing, and we need to do more. I would love it if every one of us said that, because when we were talking in our meeting yesterday, Leroy said this, and I wrote it down, and I told him I was going to use this. With this budget, we have three options. We can do and give more to meet new goals and be able to see more opportunities. Option two, we cannot do more, we cannot give more, and we're going to accomplish less. Thirdly, we can continue outreach and bring in more souls and expand that budget in so many ways that it would make our head spin. That's our options. Which one of those are you going to take? How are you going to make this budget as much a success as the 2023 budget was? And so I'm going to ask again, and I'm going to skip a slide because we've seen this one, but it's participation, all the things that we can do. If you want something else to do besides all those others I mentioned, look at each one of those: Bible class, worship, attendance, education, benevolence. There are tons of things you can do. Am I doing all that I can? That's as simple as we can make it. And I hope each one of you are sitting there going, I can do this, I can do that, or I'm going to go ask somebody what else I can do. And when we look at a review and we look at a budget, it's not always something that convicts a soul that they've maybe wandered afar, or convinces somebody that they need to be baptized, but I'm fully unaware that sometimes that's already in our heart, we just don't know it. And so we want to offer the invitation today to you that if you have something in your heart that is troubling you, that you need the prayers of the congregation, we would ask you to come. But also, if you want to be baptized, the water's ready, and I think it's warm. But whatever your need may be, we'd invite you to come as we stand and sing the song of invitation.